What's up, y'all, and welcome to episode 60 of the Take One podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones, and so some really big, significant news had dropped this week. I'm going to get into that right away, and also I'm going to get into a couple other things, and I'm going to bring back a segment that I haven't done in a while because, I haven't really been putting out the Take One podcast in like a couple months before, like a couple weeks ago. And so it's basically just trying to like get into who I think or what movie would dominate that coming month. And so I'm going to get into what will dominate this month of March. And so basically the first piece of news that I'm going to get into is a part of movie notes. And I know a lot of you probably heard by now. If you haven't, this is some exciting news for comic book movie fans like myself. If you're a really big Marvel movie fan, this is something significant that you guys would be so happy about. Like me and like other people, especially my brother and my nephew and stuff like that, or people like that. We're excited for Avengers Infinity War. May could not come soon enough. May 4th. I'm definitely I have a plan. I can't take off at work that day. My whole plan was going to be to take off. That way I get enough rest, because if the movie is good, because they have early screenings on Thursday, and the earliest one is like 7 or 8 or whatever. So if I'm able to catch a earlier screening, by the time it's ended, I'm going to watch it again if it's that good. And then the next day, probably watch it 2 more times and just, whatever. And just watch it as many times as I can in the theaters. So basically, I'm very excited from it. You guys can gather. So the news came out that Avengers Infinity War is not coming out in May no more, because it's coming out in April. A week earlier, which puts it at the same on the same day as it would come out in the UK. Now, usually Marvel films are released in the UK first, and then by the time it gets to us, we've seen it later than that. Now it's dropping on the same release date as the UK, so I guess you could say it's 2 things factor into that. One, to avoid spoilers, because a lot of people are going to try and spoil this movie, what happens at the end, who dies, and blah blah. I don't want to know who dies. I don't want to know what happens at the end. I want to go to the movie and see it myself with my own 2 eyes. So that's one thing that plays a factor. But another one that plays more of a major factor, because I don't think spoilers they really don't care too much about. I mean, they do, but it's not like a main concern, because they didn't put out other Marvel movies, other Avengers movies out across seas. Then they brought it here in the US or whatever before, and that hasn't been a major issue to them. So if you want to avoid spoilers, you're not going to be on social media, you're not going to be looking it up and all that stuff. And I guess you could say it will cut down on piracy. I mean, the movie is still going to get online, people are still going to record it or whatever. But it's to cut down on that, because people are going to be wanting to see it before then, and they're going to go to whatever lengths to not see it in full HD, but to see it, when somebody holding, putting the camera up and, recording it like that. But another thing that plays a major factor in it is Solo, because Solo is coming out within that same month. Now, Disney has already... And Disney and Lucasfilm, let's put it like that. Disney and Lucasfilm have already basically said, or just news has came out, that they're planning for this movie to fail. They're planning for this movie to fail. And, that could be a good or bad thing, for the simple fact that it's a bad thing, first of all, because you're showing that you don't have that much faith in it, But in the same sense, it's a good thing, because you're gonna know how to handle it once it the uproar or whatever. If it is bad and it's not good or whatever, you're prepared for it. And so them moving the date is showing that they're preparing for it, because they're giving Avengers a little more breathing time. Because if this movie is as good as everybody expected to be, then that carryover, that replay, or not replay, but that rewatch value is going to play a factor in like the weeks after, even all the way into Solo, because more than likely Solo is not going to beat it out at number 1 spot. It's definitely not. So when it comes down to it, those are the two things I can really think that plays a major factor in it moved up. Other than they have total faith in this movie, that May 4th. Nah, we're gonna give it to you a little bit early. Just as like a tribute to the fans, because this, you gotta think, as a company, this has got to be your proudest moment. This has got to be a moment that you're sitting there and just savoring. You're sitting there like, oh, I can't wait for them to see it, especially if it's good, because fans like this, a lot of the fans are comic book fans, and they paid attention to it ever since they were younger and for years, and they just comic book geeks. But people like me who went to the movies to go see the first Iron Man movie, the first MCU movie that came out in theaters, leading all the way up to this point, we've been waiting 10 long years for this moment in time to see this. And this is kind of like, I guess you could say, a thank you. And we found this out basically through tweets of Robert Downey Jr. and Marvel. They're basically just, joking around, but to make the announcement that it didn't just come out like, oh, Marvel is, Disney and Marvel is moving up the date of Avengers, Infinity War, blah, blah. But no, Marvel came out and put out a tweet saying, on a scale of 1 to infinity, how excited are you to see this Infinity War on May 4th? And so Robert Downey Jr. had replied, said, any chance that I could see it earlier? And so Marvel put out, anything for you, Mr. Stark. How's April 27th? And then Robert Downey Jr. put, great, with friends. And then Marvel put out, you mean these friends? Chris Evans, or at Chris Evans, at Chadwick Boseman, Denai Guerrera, Mark Ruffalo, Don Cheadle, and Anthony Mackie, which basically are all the people that are in the scene at the end of both the trailers where like Black Panther, Captain America, the Hulk, Winter Soldier, and all of them are running towards the camera with basically all of Wakanda behind them, probably going into that massive scene that's happening in Wakanda with all the creatures, aliens or whatever coming at them. And then Robert Downey Jr. replied saying, the entire world? And Marvel put, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic idea. Done. Avengers Infinity War in theaters everywhere, April 27th. And so Robert Downey Jr. put out, you guys wanted it, you got it. See you in the see you there April 27th. And this could not be more exciting. There was a funny way, even just looking at the exchange. It's totally scripted. It's totally, you can tell that they got together with Robert Downey Jr. like, okay, this is how we're going to do it, blah, blah, and then, whatever. But even just how it is, just reading it, is like, it's entertaining. So, and it gets me excited because we don't have to wait a month or so into this movie. I mean, of course, we're going to have to wait a month, but it's a little bit less time than it was before. I mean, it's just a week earlier, but still in the same sense, we ain't got to wait till May. This movie is coming out next month. Next month, Avengers Infinity War is coming out. That is really, really, really exciting to me and a bunch of other people, and I just cannot wait for this to happen. I really cannot. So, I think that's really all I gotta say. I've already talked about this event. I keep calling it a movie, but it's an event coming out, and how excited I am. I just can't wait no more. They need to go ahead and give me my own little personal private screening. I don't know, they could send me a screener. I ain't that important, but they can send me a screener so I can just watch it at home 1,000 times. I'm not gonna pirate it. I'm not gonna bootleg it. I'm not gonna give it out to anybody. I'm going to just sit there and watch it and be like, yo. Anybody that asks me about it, I'm be like, yo. I'm going to just say that. But, yeah, that's basically all of what occurred or whatever when it comes to that. And I just find it really exciting. So, that's that. So, moving on to the next thing in movie notes, which I'm going to be talking about is Fox still making new movies, new Marvel movies, despite the whole merger of, the Disney buyout of 21st Century Fox. And so, you would think that why are they still trying to make movies and Disney bought them and this and that. So the thing is, a lot of people have it misconstrued. I did at first. I'm not even gonna lie. I did at first because I thought that, like, oh, it's kind of like you go into the store, you purchase something that's yours right then and there. But when it comes to deals like this, it takes a long time because there's more to consider within buying this deal. Just real quick, and then I'm gonna get into like whatever. That basically, because it's a big buyout. This is $50 billion dollars, not 50 million, $50 billion, and it's not just the Marvel characters. Like a lot of people have like, oh, they bought that, and they gonna get X-Men, this and that. That's not all that comes with it. It's all the properties that Fox owns as far as TV and film. They're buying all of those assets, all of those IPs. They're buying them. Those are gonna be there. Those are gonna be going along with the Disney deal, as well as I believe other channels too, like FX and stuff like that, because Fox is just strictly gonna focus on like news and sports, and that's what they're gonna be all about. So when it comes down to it, Fox is not really gonna have anything to do with that. So as you look at it, they're going to be buying out not only their leased properties to them, but the other IPs that Fox owns, as well as 21st Century Fox. And then on top of that, I believe that they're going to be getting the channels as well, like FX and stuff like that, and whatever other channel that's not sports related that Fox owns, as well as I believe they're going to get a percentage of Fox's stock within Hulu. So it's a lot that goes with the deal. And with a major deal like this is that people, that the government has to look it over, see if everything is right. And it takes 18 months for this deal to go through. So it's like you purchasing something on your debit or credit card, debit or credit card. A lot of times you can't just buy it then and there. I mean, you can or whatever, you go into a store, but if you're buying online or something like that, or gas, a lot of times it's still processing. You'll still get what you ordered or whatever, but a lot of times it still has to process. And that's just what this is. It's processing. So anything can happen from when they made the deal, or, even, I ain't gonna say when they made the deal public, because there's something totally different from when they actually made the deal. So from when they actually made the deal and put it in play all the way to when it could be finalized to where it's official, where you can say that Disney now owns the rights to 21st Century Fox and majority of the stuff that comes with it, because you still have properties like Gotham and stuff that I think have the same deal as like Marvel with them. But I don't know the deal with that. I'm gonna have to look that up, but basically that's what that is. And so so right now it's in the processing stage. It's still not finalized. So anything can happen. The government can deny it to where it doesn't happen. Or Fox can reconsider and take the deal off the table and be like, you know what, we don't want to do this no more. And just keep doing what they're doing. But in the midst of all that, they still have to operate as a company because Disney does not own them yet. They own their IPs yet. That it's just still their company. So they have to operate as a company. And in order to operate, they have to make movies. They have to continue making shows. They have to continue as business as usual. And so with that, they're making all these, movies. And basically, they're still making X-Men movies. We've heard that not only just the movies that's coming out with the Dark Phoenix this year and Deadpool 2, that New Mutants were supposed to come out sometime this year, but they moved it because they wanted to do reshoots or whatever, because the test screening I don't think was as good as they wanted it to be. And so they wanted to change it up. They wanted to make it more like make it more scarier or whatever. So they're going, I ain't gonna say back to the drawing board, but just, doing reshoots. And so next year they're planning on putting out a Gambit movie. They're planning on doing a Kitty Pryde movie, which I think is like 142 or 143. That's what it's called. And you got an X-Force movie still coming out that they still have in the works. So they're trying to fast track all these movies to come out and before this deal happens and stuff like that, because guaranteed when they actually merge, because it's looking more and more likely. Like nothing is going to stop this unless the government just denies it. But no other company is going to come in and be like, okay, we want this here. But it looks like it's more and more going to go through. And once it does, more than likely Kevin Feige and the representatives at Marvel and Disney aren't going to want to bring them in as is. As a lot of people would think, oh, we're Hugh Jackman. And it's like, I've never been behind that. Hugh Jackman, it's a whole thing that I'm not going to get into, but it's just the timeline and the storylines are too convoluted, even for a person that's paid attention to these movies to actually rationalize and put together. That it's just too much to clean up. So they will more than likely, once all the movies are made with the X-Men and stuff, they would move basically just that's it. We're not making no more X-Men movies. That's a part of that timeline. More than likely, they're going to keep making Deadpool because they're going to probably make it part of its own little timeline and just disregard everything else that being connected to the old X-Men. But they're going to probably more than likely reintroduce the X-Men into the MCU as new characters, is basically in a new type of way. Regardless of what the comic book has, because, you know, they already had the universe started, so it is what it is. But I have no problem with that. As long as they make good movies, I have no problem. Deadpool 2 is coming out. Hopefully that's really good. X-Men Dark Phoenix, I wasn't a big fan of Apocalypse, but, you know, it had some redeeming qualities. Not enough to make it a great film, but, you know, enjoyable. But I hope Dark Phoenix is better. I hope that New Mutants next year comes out in February. I hope that that's good. If they ever get a chance to make the Gambit movie that they've been trying to make for like 20 years now, hopefully that movie's good. Hopefully the X-Force is good. Whatever movies they have in store, hopefully those movies come out and they be good, because I'm definitely gonna go check them out until this merger go through, and then I'm gonna check out some more that Marvel MCU has to do or has to put out. So yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. I mean, it is what it is. So let me get right into it. Well, actually, that ends that segment, and let me get right into trailer reviews. So there was a new trailer that dropped this week. It was for a little movie called Wreck-It Ralph 2: Ralph Breaks the Internet. And this is a movie that I am dying to see. I enjoyed the first one, and this one looked like it's gonna be good. This is the first official trailer that came out for it, and it was good. It didn't knock me off my socks. I wasn't like, oh my god, so excited, but you know, I enjoyed it. It showed what the story is. It shows that they get basically introduced into the internet with Wi-Fi being brought into the store, and then they end up getting sucked into the internet, and then they have to, you know, they go on an adventure, you know, up in the internet. So it looked like it's gonna be good to get Ralph again with teaming up with I think her name was Penelope. I think that's what it was. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. Whatever. That's what we're gonna call her, Penelope. And they're going on an adventure together again, which I like the duo. I like the team up between both of them. In the first movie, it worked out really well. I'm sure that it's definitely gonna work out really well, or just better in this film. But the one thing that I can say about this trailer that really kind of made me smile and happy was the end, where it was one of them games where you have to feed the things or whatever, the animals or whatever, and Wreck-It Ralph comes up in there to basically, you know, he sees what's happening, and so he starts getting more food, and he starts feeding them, pushing it to one cat, pushing it to the other cat. They keep pushing it to them, and then he starts pushing it to one cat, and just constantly do it. And then Penelope comes in, and then she brings in more food, and they keep feeding the white cat. They keep feeding, and then they kind of stop, and then you see the cat looking like really big, and then Wreck-It Ralph pushes the it was pancakes. Okay, yeah, so pancake. Push the pancake slowly to the cat, and the cat, and the cat eats it so slowly, like the ketchup is like falling over, and he just start whole. And then once it get down to it, they just they sit there and they look like something's about to happen, like he's about to explode. And then you see the girl who's actually playing the game. You see her reaction and she screams like basically the cat exploded. That was hilarious. And I love how they did that in the trailer, that it wasn't just, this and that. They stopped the music and just focused on that scene. And that's what made it so hilarious. Once I realized that, I'm like, oh shit. And then I just saw them like feeding. Once they hit the idea of just getting out the more food, like, oh shit, let me feed him. That's when I got really invested. I'm like, oh shit, I see where this is going. And it just, that ending set it off for me. If they didn't have that ending in the trailer, I would have been like, okay, that was cool. But that one, it didn't make it better. It didn't make the whole trailer better, but that just really set it off. That was one of the most memorable things of Wreck-It Ralph, the Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer. I really enjoyed, and that was good. That was really good. So, kudos to them putting together. That was a hilarious scene. And so that wraps up trailer reviews, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into this last thing that I'm going to, I guess you could say, is part of movie notes again. But I'm gonna get into this last thing. So I'm bringing back the whole what will dominate, and basically I'm just going over what will dominate March. And so since this month has just begun, I'm basically going to get into it. And I'm going to put out other podcasts where I'm going to be talking about what dominated January, and probably in a couple weeks put out what dominated February. Which I can get into it. I ain't going to get to the end of the run, but we out of February, so basically what dominated, even though it's still making money, shit, whatever. Probably might not be in a couple weeks, probably might be in a week or so, something like that. But for right now, I'm looking at what will dominate March. So there was a lot of movies coming out in March to the theater, but there are a lot of big names. It's quite a few big names, or whatever, big name movies is coming out. So basically, the movies that I have on my list is two movies that came out today, which is Red Arrow and Death Wish. Red Arrow, Jennifer Lawrence movie. She ends up being trained. She's a Russian girl who gets trained as a Red Sparrow, which they basically gain information through seduction. And so it shows like her life and how she came to be that, and everything that goes along with it, all the lies, deceits, and all that stuff. And so Death Wish, Bruce Willis, the guy who ends up basically whose wife get murdered and his daughter put into a coma after just a robbery gone wrong, and he ends up taking matters into his own hands, or justice into his own hands, by tracking down the dudes who were responsible. Wrinkle in Time, that's the one movie that I am looking forward to. A little girl trying to find her father, who's using the same type of thing that he more than likely used, which is I don't know exactly. The trailer don't really give too much of it away, but somehow she puts a wrinkle in time and goes across the universe to find her father. Strangers Pray at Night basically is the sequel to the 2000 something movie. I don't know what year it came out, but it's the sequel to that, about a family who's being tormented by these people who are in masks, who just toying around with them and more than likely planning to kill them. Gringo, this guy is sent to Mexico with this new weed pill, and ends up getting caught in just a bunch of just chaos and all this stuff, and so he's trying to get out of it, which seems pretty good or whatever, like a good movie to check out. Maybe it looks like it's gonna be funny, so I am a little bit interested in it. Hurricane Heist, it's basically self-explanatory. It's a heist that's happening in a hurricane, and this girl has to stop it. This girl, security guard, I believe, she has to stop it. Yeah, and so I can only imagine. I don't know exactly what that movie's about, but it's on my list, so yeah. As you can see, that it's certain movies that I'm looking forward to, and certain movies that I'm not. But yeah, this is a movie that's coming out. Love, Simon, about a kid who a high school kid who is gay and no one knows, and so he's struggling with that, coming out or staying closeted, which seemed interesting enough. Then we have Tomb Raider, which you already guys know what that is. It's the new reboot of the Tomb Raider live action movie with Alicia Vikander, and so she plays Lara Croft, who is going on this mission to find something that her father was working on or working to find or something like that, and so she ends up finding out more about it than she expected. And so she gets trapped on the island and has to fight her way off. So Midnight Sun, it has a movie. This is a romantic movie with Bella Thorne, who is a girl who can't go out into the sunlight. She has a disease that she can't go into the sunlight. So she meets a boy, and she doesn't tell him at first what her condition is. She just says that she can't go out in the sunlight because she's busy and this and that. But she can, so they develop this little bond, this little thing or whatever, them going out at night and stuff like that. And so that's basically what this movie is about. It looks interesting enough. I may check it out. It reminds me of the movie that came out last year called Everything, where the girl who had the disease where she couldn't stay outside for too long because her body couldn't build up the immune system. I think something like that, to where she can handle, just the simplest, type of cold and, just illness or whatever. So she develops a relationship with a guy who is, they're trying to work around it, trying to find a way to exist as a couple with her disease and stuff and all the trial and tribulation that goes along with it. So that's what it reminds me of. And then we have Pacific Rim Uprising, Pacific Rim Uprising, which is the sequel to the movie Pacific Rim. And the Jaegers are back. The Jaegers are back, taking down the kaiju. I'm hoping I'm saying the names right. I think so, yeah. So the Jaegers are back, taking down the kaiju, who made their way back to Earth through whatever means, I guess through a company. And so now they have to fight them and, stop any other, basically, invasions. Sherlock Gnomes, a gnome goes missing, and Sherlock Gnomes has to find out what the hell happened. Basically, it's an animated film. It's a sequel to the movie Romeo and Juliet. And then you have the movie Unsane, where this woman goes into this insane asylum and basically gets put in there against her will because she feels that, like a stalker, this guy is basically following her. And, they think that she is kind of crazy and she believes that she's telling the truth. So it's kind of like, I guess you'd say, a mystery, I believe. Is she really crazy? Is she not? Like, what's going on? What's real? What's not real? So that's the type of movie. And then the other movie that's coming out that I am looking forward to is called damn, I can't pronounce it. Acrimony. There we go. It's like, I can look at the word. It's one of those words you will look at, but then you will still kind of mispronounce it. You got to be like, oh, how's it really pronounced? I know I'm not the only one that has that problem, but whatever. So yeah, Acrimony is a new Tyler Perry film about a woman who has been in a relationship with this guy who's basically got married at a young age. And so as the years gone by, the relationship gone dry. And so she ends up finding out that she starts noticing that he's a bit distant and all that stuff. And she ends up finding out that he has a whole nother life with another woman. And so it drives her crazy. So those are all the movies that are coming out in March. Red Arrow, Death Note, I keep calling it Death Note. Death Wish. Totally different movie. Death Wish. Wrinkle in Time, Strangers Pray at Night, Gringo, The Hurricane Heist, I Can Only Imagine, Love, Simon, Tomb Raider, Midnight Sun, Pacific Rim Uprising, Sherlock Gnomes, Unsane, and God, see, I can look at the word, but for some reason it don't come out right away. Acrimony. I think I have to write it a different way. That way I know exactly when I look at it, it's like this, because I don't know. I'm gonna get it one time. It's gonna be instilled in my brain to where I can look at it and just say Acrimony. I don't know, but anyway. So the 5 movies that I think that will dominate March, I was about to say September, that will dominate March will be number 1, A Wrinkle in Time. I just think that movie has so much potential. I could be wrong. Number 1 and my number 1 and number 2 spot could switch, but I mean, who knows? But I think that A Wrinkle in Time, because it is a Disney movie, it looks like it's really good, and more than likely a lot of people are wanting to go see it just because of Black Panther. I think it was a black woman that I forget her name, that directed this. So I think a lot of the black community is gonna go see this movie. Plus you got like a black lead girl who's up in there. So yeah, I think that's gonna take March. What's going to come in after that is Pacific Rim Uprising. Even though this third trailer has got me on board more than I was before, it looks incredible now. I don't think that it's going to be as good as the first one. I may be wrong completely, but I think that it's not going to be as good as the first one. But I think it's still going to be a good movie nonetheless. I don't think it's going to do crazy numbers, but I could be wrong. Shit, I was wrong about Jumanji, and that shit is like almost there at like $1 billion. So hell, anything can happen. Then third, I think, is going to be Tomb Raider. I think Tomb Raider is going to be good. I don't think it's going to be that great of a a video game movie. I think it's going to be okay. I'll be surprised if it's not. Well, I will be surprised if it is better than okay. So I'm patiently waiting for that. And then you got Sherlock Gnomes. It is a kids animation film. I think, and those usually tend to do really well. Some of them don't, but a lot of them usually tend to do well. Even if they're not that good critically, a lot of them end up making a crazy amount of money, billions of dollars. So you can kind of like see it going in. Plus, it is a recognizable name. You know, the first one came out about several years ago. And you know, you still got the name, and it's gonna be a movie that a lot of parents are gonna be wanting to take their kids to. I know I'm definitely gonna take my son to go see it, so I think it's gonna be up there in the highest grosses of March. And then number 5, I think it's gonna be Acrimony. Acrimony, I don't know, that probably might end up going high up on the list. Like literally, the effects of Black Panther is probably gonna resonate for a good little while. Acrimony, like, this is from a black guy's creation. I don't know if Tyler Perry directed this, but it is a Tyler Perry film. You know, he produced it and stuff like that. It is a Tyler Perry film from his studio and stuff. So it's a lot of people that still love Tyler Perry and his movies for some strange fucking reason. But I mean, I think it's gonna resonate. You know, a black entrepreneur, this guy who came from nothing, and so he made something. And he got this movie coming out that looks like it's actually going to be really good. This is actually the only Tyler Perry movie that then came out that I am actually looking forward to go see. Matter of fact, yeah. This is actually the first Tyler Perry movie that I'm actually excited to see. The first one. All the other ones is like, yeah, okay, they're the same thing as this one. But this one actually looks like it's going to be really good. You got Taraji P. Henson, who is a phenomenal actress. Despite Proud Mary, she is a phenomenal actress. And this is the type of movies that she needs to be in. Because this looks phenomenal. But yeah, so my top 5 for the highest grossers of March, well, that's going to be of March, is A Wrinkle in Time at number 1. Number 2, Pacific Rim Uprising. Number 3, Tomb Raider. Number 4, Sherlock Gnomes. Number 5, Acrimony. I swear, like, I keep wanting to say Acrimony or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to get it. And those are my top 5 highest predicting grossers of March. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And with that said, that wraps up this episode of the Take One podcast, episode 60. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me. Check out episode 59 and episode 58 of the Take One podcast, and go ahead and like this video. subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that drops on my channel. Check out everything else I got in store. I got other things that's going to be coming out, movies that I need to get caught up on, so those movie reviews is going to be coming out, as well as I'm working on doing something for my Facebook channel, so I'm going to let you guys know when I do it. I'm going to make an announcement probably on the Take One podcast or Quick Notes or whatever. But yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be working hard. So, and I got some other stuff in the works, and I'm going to be putting out within the next several months. So, look out for that. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Check out the social media down there in the description below, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.